All right, I think we're good. So I just really want to go over the safety precautions that we have in place. Most of them, like I said, are the same precautions that we had in place earlier, but there are a few new ones. So one of the ways that we keep our students safe is there's no commingling of classrooms. So the classrooms, Mrs. Yeager's class just stays contained with Mrs. Yeager's class. Each classroom just stays with their own cohort, and they travel to lunch in their cohort. They go out to recess with their cohort, and that's the only class that those students will be mingling in. Also, the students and staff will wear masks at all times indoors, except for when we're eating. There are mask breaks that students can take when they're outside. There's all around the playground. They're designated. There's big posters there. Students are able to take their masks off. For some of you, especially if you have not been to in-person learning, just know that really the students did an amazing job. And any of the teachers that are here, pipe in, feel free to pipe in. They really did not. The biggest issue we had was sometimes with some of the younger students, the masks didn't always fit well. So that was probably the only issue, but everybody was really great with wearing them. When they were on the playground and they had the opportunity to go to the mask break areas, they rarely did. And if they did, they would just go for a few, just for a minute or two. They didn't want to miss that recess. And so they would be right back. So, rest at ease. I know that it seems so cumbersome. I'm going to tell you that even myself wearing masks to work, I find myself in my office. I'll be in there for 15 minutes after somebody leaves and I'm all by myself and the door's shut and I still have my mask on, or I'm in the car. So I think we just acquire the patience to wear the mask, and the students did a great job with that. As the students leave the classroom and go to another area, which would be just basically recess or lunch, they use the hand sanitizer. They get a little squirt of hand sanitizer on their way in and on their way out. And this is a little change from the earlier time that we went back. We are only going to allow one class on the playground at a time. It was really tough for the students because we had them separated, although by structures, they still, you see your friend and they're playing. And so they wanted to be together. So we just decided we're going to play it safe and only one class will be out there at a time. In the classroom, all of our desks are placed 3 to 4 feet apart, and they have a sneeze guard up around them. In the lunchroom, because and this is different, we have arranged the desks so that they're actually 6 feet apart. So they are, and Mr. Anderson went around with he made his own 6 foot, he put 2 yardsticks together and made his own 6 foot measuring tape. Also in the hallways, this is really great. And as a first grade teacher forever before this, we have sight words that are really cool sight words that are on the floor. There's stickers on the floor, and these will help keep the students spaced out in line when they're waiting, to get their lunch. And at any time when they're waiting in line, even if they're waiting to be dismissed. So we can do some learning while we're social distancing. So that's very exciting. And wait till you see them. I just love them. Also, I talked about the sneeze guards. The bathrooms are cleaned every 2 hours. We have an awesome COVID cleaning person who she's been working in the building, and she is going around cleaning all of the high touch areas, the light switches and the doorknobs constantly. She's just constantly moving around and sanitizing those throughout the day. And then each evening we have a 360 machine that sanitizes each of the classrooms. Are there any questions or anything that anybody wants to ask right now? I'm going to admit somebody. All right. All right. I think I did it right. Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about arrival. So arrival is quite different than it has been in the past. In the past, we had breakfast, and so students could start arriving at school at 7:25 and all the way up until 8:05 when the first bell rings. And that is not the case now because we are eating breakfast in the classrooms. So all of our, and students entered the building through various doors throughout the school. Just makes sense, right? To kind of just dissipate everybody and have everybody separated. But now we actually have a thermal scanner at the front entrance that will scan the students for a temperature. So everybody is going through that main entrance near the office, which means that every student is going to, since everybody is going in that door, the students that arrive in the cars, they're going to remain in their vehicle until 8:00. And so I go out there and a couple of others of the Hoover staff, we go out there at 8:00 and you'll see me running around, giving the signal, you can get out now, you can get out. So that the students, because there's really nobody in the building to be able to supervise them before that. Teachers are on duty at 8:00. So that's why we're really strict about that 8:00 time. So please, as soon as you see us, and when you get into the parking lot, it will be so helpful if you can make sure that your students have their mask on, have their backpack, already have given your little kisses and your goodbyes and your pep talks. And then as soon as we say, it's time to go, then we can let them out of the car. If students walk to school, they remain on the city sidewalk. And then once they see everybody coming in, then they can remain on. And we like to have parents stay on the sidewalk and the students come walk up into the building through that. We are working, we ask the students to try and stay socially distanced as they're walking into the building. So if you can help us and remind your child to, if you see your friend, don't be running up and saying hello, make sure you're keeping that nice social distance so that we can all stay safe. And then this is the drivers, if you're driving, you enter the parking lot through the south entrance, and that's the entrance that is closest to the building. And you will see why I say that, because for the dismissal, students actually the drivers will enter through the north entrance. And students are dismissed by family numbers. If you had a family number earlier, you have the same family number. If you lost it, because everybody got, I think we handed everybody 3 of the numbers. They were on blue card stock, so that if you had somebody, maybe your mom picks them up or your sister, you could give the family number to another person who would have it in their vehicle. And then what happens is we have a grid with all of this family numbers on it, and that at 3:00, that grid is posted throughout the school. Every classroom has it up. And I go out at about, I don't know, I think I go out about 10. I think I go back out at about 10 to 3, and I start marking the numbers of the cars. And at 3:00, the teachers then know if a student, and the students actually, they feel like it's bingo. They feel like they won. Once their number lights up, then they know that they're okay to get their items, and then they walk out the building. If students are being picked up in a vehicle, they will exit through the office door. If a student is walking home, or somebody is picking up, and they're going to be walking them home, then they will exit through the doors on, oops, I realized I made a miscue on I'll have to fix that when I post this, but through the doors on Tucker. So there's 2 doors on Tucker. So the parents were standing on the sidewalk. We have another staff member that's out there. She's also taking the family numbers, so that those students will then know. And on our grid, they're different colors. They're color coded, so the students know weathers, because sometimes somebody might be picked up, if it's a snowy or rainy day, by a vehicle, and sometimes they're going to be picked up, by a walker. So they know, they get to know the color codings. As they exit and enter the buildings, we want to make sure that they're socially distanced. And this is the other thing. There will be no early dismissal of students past 2:40. So if you have a doctor's appointment, please make sure you're picking up your student at 2:30. because the congestion is just crazy. And once everybody starts moving around, it's really hard to retrieve students. So if you have an appointment, please try and make sure that you pick them up at before 2:30. So after 2:40, we're going to say, can you please hold on and wait till the dismissal? And again, you'll enter through the north entrance. It is going, if you have not experienced it, and any of you moms and dads, feel free to speak up. If you've experienced it, if you haven't experienced it, it's going to look like, oh my goodness, it's just this big long line and it's going to take forever. It really goes quickly. I'm telling you, all of our staff say that we want to continue with this, even once the COVID is long gone and is a distant memory, because it is really smooth sailing, and everybody is really out of the parking lot. I don't think we've been past 3:15, for surely not past 3:20. So it has really worked really, really well. So if your child has already been to in-person learning, they already have this screening agreement signed. If not, if your student has not already been to school, you may not have filled out this agreement, and you need to do that. We will not admit any student to enter the building until this has been signed and taken care of. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about what that means. So this is basically what the COVID-19 school health screening agreement says, that every parent will every morning assess their students. So as the staff, I have to take my symptoms. I take a little assessment every morning before I go into the building, and I have to say, have I been exposed to anybody? Am I feeling any symptoms? And I'm not, so I get to go in the building. If it says that if I do say that I'm experiencing symptoms, then that will go to Dr. Krupe or Mr. Nugent, who will then, and then we will have to obviously call in sick that day. Now, if these are what you want to be looking for with your students or with your children. So if they have one of the following, so if it's a new cough or a shortness of breath or any difficulty breathing, new loss of taste or smell, then you want to keep your student home and monitor your student and Sean, I know you're out there, so if you want to come in or, speak up, go right ahead and interrupt me if I misspeak. So if you have one, okay, thanks. If you have one of those, you want to keep your student home. So, and then really, watch over them and make sure that, that they're not, there's no other symptoms or that they're not becoming more severe. If you are experiencing any two of the symptoms, and you can look down here. So if you have a fever of 100.4 or greater, chills, diarrhea, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting 2 times within 24 hours, headaches, muscle aches, sore throat, fatigue. If your child is experienced 2 of those symptoms, then you want to keep them home for the day. Now, I do want to say that, so if you send your student to school and they're feeling fine, right? So they've not complained of any of these symptoms, but then they get to school and they say, if a teacher recognizes that a student is really coughing, they're going to send them down to the office. Well, actually, they will not. They'll call the office, and then we have our clerical assistant is our COVID liaison, and she will walk down to the classroom and escort the student back to the office, and we will put them in the COVID isolation room. So that they are, and then we'll call the parents and we'll have them come and pick their child up. If they complain of 2 of these items, then we will do the same thing. Sam, our COVID liaison, will come, we'll go pick the child up and then bring them down to the office where they will go into the COVID isolation room. And I do want to let you know, one of our this is different. And so I want you to make sure in order to be as safe as possible, and right, we're taking every precaution to be safe, right? So we're going to err on the side of caution. So when Sammy goes to pick up those students, she's going to put on like a blue gown. She's going to have the N95 mask on, and gloves on, and pick up the student and put them in the isolation room, which in our building works out beautiful because there's big glass windows and we can see them in the isolation room, and they'll wait for their parent to come pick them up. So I just wanted to let you know that. So if your child comes home and says, I saw somebody with this big blue suit, and that, don't be scared. We're just being safe. We just want to make sure that we're safe. Did I explain that all right, Sean?
Yes, I think you did very well. The symptoms, just so everyone knows, the symptoms list there, that was revamped probably a few weeks before the children ended up going back to virtual learning. So there were a few weeks in there where we had this, where there was a little more leeway in that you now had to have 2 of the symptoms to be considered a potential COVID case, and then the child would have to be sent home. So they did, the county did kind of revamp that a little bit in that aspect, but for the most part, all of this is the same. I went over and trained the staff over there with Ms. Demas and her staff, and they have all the necessary equipment to take care of your children safely and keep them in the clean COVID room. It gets cleaned every time a child leaves that room. There are 2 rooms. So if one is being occupied, if there is a second sick child, they will go into the other sick room. So there are 2 backups in there, and there are plenty of staff there to help ensure that your child is as comfortable as possible until you are able to pick them up.
And you know what else? I forgot to say this. If they have siblings, then the siblings will go home as well. Correct, Sean?
Yes, that is correct. We are still treating that if one sibling is sick, all of them do need to go home. So if you do find out that someone in your household is sick, that lives with you, then you would need to call the school. And if you find out that the person that's living with you does have COVID, you will need to call the school and come and pick up your children, whether they are at Hoover or the middle school or the high school.
And if you, and I know this, so this might sound confusing, but it makes sense. So the student who is exhibiting symptoms may return to school after 10 days as long as they're symptom free, 10 days from the onset of the symptom, or if they have a negative COVID test, not the fast, what's it called? Sean, I don't want to make, what's the name of the test?
A PCR test.
The PCR. See, I was going to say NPR. The PCR test. So that we do not, the rapid test will not qualify. So if the student is exhibiting symptoms will have to stay home for 10 days, they can return on day 11 as long as they're symptom free, or if they have a negative COVID test. The siblings, however, must stay home for 12 days, correct?
14.
Sorry.
Yep.
For 14 days, right. So for 14 days or a negative COVID test, correct?
Well, they would be asymptomatic, the siblings, so you would just keep them in the quarantine for the 14 days.
Okay.
Unless they started.
But if the students, who exhibited symptoms, what if they get the negative COVID test?
If they get the negative COVID test and they're symptom free, then yes, they can return to school.
And the siblings can as well then, right? If they've not exhibited any symptoms.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that?
What's a PCR test?
The PCR test is kind of the gold standard, so to speak, of the COVID testing. It is still the same test where it's a nose swab, and it takes a few days to come back, but it is been proven to be the most accurate test to determine whether or not the individual has COVID. And so that is the test that Oakland County recommends that we only accept. And so Hazel Park Schools has also determined that that is the test that they will accept. So when you do go, if you have a child who has symptoms and you choose to go get them tested for COVID, you'll need to make sure that you tell them you need a PCR test.
I'll put that in the newsletter too. I'll make sure that's in the newsletter so that you're able to reference that.
So the rapid test is not available. I mean, accepted.
Exactly. Right. It is not.
All right.
Okay. And then here is, if I would have just moved my screen, I would have seen the 14 days, but here, and I'll share this also, this slideshow in the next Husky happenings, along with the next Husky happenings.
Oh, my Ashley.
And then,
Demas,
oh, sure, yes.
so I understand with all the symptoms and everything, but Blayland has a lot of allergies where she's constant sneezing. Is that gonna be a problem?
So Sean, you might want to talk to this. Sneezing isn't a symptom, but if she's got runny nose, and I think
Yeah.
if there's I think we need a doctor's note. Sean, I'm going to let you speak on that.
Yes, I would get a note from your doctor, just basically stating this is a common symptom of hers that she regularly has. She may be, the teachers that take care of her should have an idea of what is not normal for her. And so I would trust them in saying, okay, this is unusual for you. You're exceptionally runny, or you look like you have a fever, and then, would probably remove her. But I would definitely talk to her doctor and get a doctor's note if you can, stating that she does have allergies. And so she consistently has a runny nose throughout the day.
I can give her the medicine, but I know 10 times out of 1, she's gonna go to sleep with it too.
Like, we don't want that.
Right. So just, go, if you get a note from the doctor, we'll put that in their file, and we'll make sure that we have that on file, and that we'll know. And Mrs. Beller will know as well. Again,
Okay.
the good thing is that they've had an opportunity, to interact with the kids. And so they'll, and as the year moves on, we'll get to know them even better and know what's usual and what's unusual. We will continue with asynchronous Wednesdays until further notice. So just be aware of that. On Wednesdays, students will log in to their Seesaw or to their Google Classroom, and they will complete the assignments that the teachers assign, much like they do, during right now as we've done this remote learning. If you have technology at home and you're not using the school technology, then you don't need to worry about it. But if your student is one that has been using school technology, they will bring that home with them every Tuesday after school. And then what we want you to do is that we would like the devices. Obviously, they use those devices in school every single day for, a lot of the different activities. We have our iReady personal pathways lessons that are on there. They have Raz Kids. So there's a lot. We do use that. They do use their devices. So please be sure to make sure that those come back with the student on Thursdays. You're going to get a little tired of me and my blasts, because I think every Wednesday I'm going to just send out a blast that said, hey, don't forget, make sure your devices are in your backpacks and ready to go in the morning. Just to be a reminder. I remember when my children were little and I was a little bit crazed. Not that I'm still not crazed, but I was a little more crazed. So I hope that helps. And I'll try and make it at the same time. And they're going to be assigned work, like I said, through their teacher. We are in the midst of designing a program for just a limited amount of students. If we know that some of our parents have not been able to work due to being at home with, to support their students in their learning. So if they have an opportunity to get back to work, they need that Wednesday. So we are going to do, I believe it will be a lottery system. They will be I don't want you to get the impression that it is going to be anything like our latchkey program where they're going to have a lot of different activities to do. They'll be able to do their work that the teacher has assigned. That it will be a place for them to complete their work. That they will have breaks, right? So weather permitting, they'll be able to go outside. They'll eat lunch and they'll eat breakfast there, and we have some paras that will be covering that. So stay tuned for more information about that. There will be some extra thorough cleaning on those Wednesdays as well. One of the things that I know one of our parents, and I think she signed in here, noticed when I snapped her a picture one time. She's like, "Oh, those are filthy." The sneeze guards, the 360 gets a little bit of a residue on those sneeze guards, and it's impossible to clean all of them. So on Wednesdays, they'll work on making those sneeze guards nice and shiny clean. And these are just some pictures of the classrooms. This is one of our classrooms. This is two of them. This is actually a kindergarten and a first grade classroom. Here's a second grade classroom. And again, the spacing depends on class size. So although everybody is in the classrooms with the sneeze guards, with the masks on, 3 to 4 feet apart, if there's more room in the classroom, obviously we're going to keep them 6 feet apart. So that's the golden standard. Here's our lunchroom. We have moved the lunchrooms to all desks. They are all 6 feet apart because the students will be eating without masks. And here's our Groovy. See, aren't these so cute? And then we have one-way stickers down the hallway for the classrooms. But there, if you can see, there's one, it was terrible. I tried to get a nice picture, but I couldn't. The lighting was bad, but you can see how nicely spaced there are, and they'll help us. It's hard for some of our little ones to keep spaced. They like to be together. They enjoy that. So that's really the presentation. Hi, Dr. Krupe, how are you?
Good evening. How is everybody this evening? We're really excited to be here, and Mrs. Demas, you're doing a fabulous job with your presentation, and we're so excited to get our kids back to school next week.
I am excited too. Can I tell you how the principal's job is just not the principal's job without the children? My day is long. I need my people. I need my kids. So I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know.
And our staff is too. Our staff, wouldn't you say, Mrs. Bress and Mrs. Champagne, I think maybe Miss Adamick's in here also. We are all excited. We know that in-person learning is, it works best for most of our students. So
I want to thank our amazing staff for being here, supporting you. I saw some writing some notes in there, and we're really fortunate to have just a dynamite staff that's done a great job while we've been in remote learning. And we're really excited. I know that everybody's really prepared to bring our students back. So I apologize for not being here right on time. I had an appointment I had to run to, but I'm certainly welcome to entertain any questions you have for central offices. I know Dr. Dolmage is here as well.
Could I ask a question for the nurse?
You sure can.
Okay, how often should we be washing masks at home?
Well, realistically,
I'm sure that's a hard question to answer.
well, the gold standard is you should be washing them every day.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay.
CDC recommends every day you should be washing them. Are people doing that? Probably not.
Right.
But if you can get in your little stash of masks 2 or 3 so you can rotate them, and then that way you can kind of go through one a day and then do a little wash one day, then that's even better.
Okay.
And if you were here in the fall, we gave you several masks, and I believe that Mr. Zernis has a little package ready for you again. So Mrs. Davis, you were given packages again for masks for the kiddos. And so we are giving you another package so that you're able to do that. And I don't know if the teachers might be keeping one in the room just in case we need to switch one out, but we'll be giving you a couple masks again.
Yep, we do. And and every once in a while, a student will get out of the car and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't have my mask. No worry, and then the mom's like, I told you to get the mask. Don't worry, no panicking. We got masks. We've got masks. So we just kind of keep them over to the side, and one of us runs in, gets the mask, and they're all good to go. So
And
no.
if anyone's having trouble, we also have some wonderful community members that are making masks, and they will make more with a little adjustable ties are usually the best, so we can keep them really tight on their faces, because if not, all day long, they're playing with them and trying to hold them up. So any of them that you can get that have the little adjustable pieces around the ears, and get them really comfortable so they're not pulling them up on their nose all day long.
Yeah, that is, for those little ones, it is hard. And they do, and the little ones are the ones, they really like to be right next to each other. Oh, no, come on, social distance. So we're,
Miss Emus,
yes,
there are 2 questions in the chat.
okay.
One is asking about, will it be required to get the COVID vaccine? And then the other question is, what consequences will there be, or are there, for kids getting too close to each other?
So we will not require the vaccine. So first of all, there's only certain, the governor has told us who will get the vaccine. So the essential workers are in line right now. So that will not be required. We didn't really have, we mostly just talked to the students. The student, when I talk about students getting close to each other, we're really talking about kindergartners. So we're just trying to teach them this new way of living, right? So we do a lot of chats and we have a lot of conversations, but they're pretty good. Would you not say, Mrs. Champagne, with your first graders, that they're?
Yeah, I mean, just like any other school expectation, it might be a little tricky for some at first, but with practice and just gentle reminders, they all caught on to it really quickly, and they were just happy to be there. So
That's for sure. And that's the same with the masks. Like, we did not really have, there was nobody maliciously like taking their mask down or not refusing to wear it. I do agree. I went into all the classrooms and everybody was, most of the students that I talked to, I didn't talk to anybody that didn't want to come back. And they know that's just the way that we're going to have to live our, in our school world right now. You have to have a mask on. We have to keep everybody safe. And I think the fact that we were in school and we left school and now we're coming, they want to be back. They want to be back in school. I think that's going to be something that will really be a teachable moment for them. Do you want to go back to remote learning? I don't, we can have those conversations with students to try and help, to make that connection for them. So.
Sean, would you speak for a little bit, because there is not a vaccine for children. So I don't know if you can speak to that, or if you want me to speak a little bit to that.
Sure, I can do that. That is correct. The vaccines at this time are only for, one of them is for 16 and older, and the other one is for 18 years and older. So only now are they doing studies on children. And so it's going to be many months before they determine the viability of the vaccine in children. So it's not going to be anything on the radar anytime, even maybe this fall, but it's kind of hard to say with all these studies that are going on. So the vaccines are only for adults.
Okay, Mrs. Demons, I have a question. So I had recently just bought some fabric sanitizer, and I wanted to know if Demetrius puts it in a little spray bottle. Is he allowed to bring that to school?
Was it a fabric sanitizer?
Yes, it's for the clothes. It's sanitizer for your clothes.
I've never even heard of it. I'm not, so.
It's by Clorox. You can get it at Walmart.
Oh.
I think you would probably need to check with Sean what's in it and take a look at what's in it to make sure that it's not hurtful to kids or anything.
If he wants to bring it to, like when you come to school, when you drop him off, if you want to show it, I can, or I can take a picture of it and look at the the ingredients or what it's made of. And then I can share it with Sean and then I'll give you a call.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
I'm so excited he's coming back. All right, any other questions?
I have one about returning to in person, even though Brandon's already in person. It's for his cousin. So my sister inquired about the return to school, and she was told that there might not be room. So does she still do the VBA until there's room, or will she know by next Monday if she's going to school?
Dr. Drummond, can you speak to that?
I certainly can. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are in the process of looking at all of the requests. If the request was submitted, we are in the process of looking at all the requests and determining if we have space, and families will be notified by tomorrow so they can make preparation as to, if they're moving into Viking virtual or if they're moving into in-person. So they will be notified by tomorrow if a request was put in.
Okay, now what happens if there's not any room at like her school of choice, but there's room at like United Oaks? Could she go to UO?
Yes.
Okay.
That's absolutely what.
Yeah, because her mom's at work right now and her dad's in Arizona, so I'm like, well, I'll join the meeting and ask the question.
Oh, that's so nice.
Absolutely.
Got to be the best.
And, we believe that we're going to be able to accommodate almost all the requests. So we're just working through that right now, and we will contact families by tomorrow. And then if requests are granted, then the building that they would be going to would contact them, the building secretary and or the building administrator.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I have another question. Would they need any materials coming back to school, or are they allowed to bring materials into the school?
So they actually all the students took home a little container of supplies. We have supplies. It would be wonderful if everybody could bring back their little plastic container. You're still going to probably need those supplies for those Wednesdays. So we do have supplies, at school, but he should be okay. But he could bring like in a folder if he wanted, or, something like that. But we have crayons and pencils and they will each have and they usually in the past, most of the classrooms, especially the lower out classrooms, they did community supplies, right? So they sat at tables and everybody shared the same crayons no more. So everybody gets their little container of their own goodies. So we don't, and like if the crayons are on the ground, we throw them away because we don't know you know what I mean? We don't know who they were. Okay.
And I guess piggyback off that question, if they weren't already, like they didn't go back already, so they're switching from VBA to in-person, I guess the same question, they wouldn't have had a plastic box. So
we supplied those. You don't have to, and we're excited to have Leah back. By the way, nice to see you. I don't really see you, but hear you. Yeah, but no, we'll have the supplies. No worries about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What if we lost the supply box?
No worries. Well, geez Louise, nothing. We're gonna get them a new supply box. And I'm gonna tell you, I know. I mean, we know how crazy life can be, and especially when you were trying to do all of that with the teaching. So if things got broken in all of this, we're gonna make sure that everybody has what they need.
I was gonna say, because I already bought all the supplies, so.
Well, you can send them back, but if you think you're gonna need them for the Wednesdays, you're welcome to keep them.
I might just buy a second set for Wednesday.
All right. Well, that's helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, I have another question. I'm sorry. How many kids are allowed in a classroom at a time?
So it depends on the size of the actual classroom, but there is no more than 20, right? That's the cap. And I'm going to tell you, we are not there's only one grade that we're in, that we have a lot of room in most of our classrooms. So, there's some grades that don't. Kindergarten and third grade at Hoover are pretty packed.
Gabby, could you say what packed is? It's 17, correct?
Yes. Well, no, not in the kindergarten. Now remember, kindergarten has a huge room. So I think our kindergarten numbers are 19 and I think we're at 20 just for kindergarten. And the third grade, our third grade classrooms are really small. So those are 17. But like the fifth grade, Demetrius's, those are like 12, 15. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. It's definitely a smaller class size. Yeah,
Yeah,
stacked was not the good word to use, was it?
No, Mrs. Demas, there's a question about, with the card marking ending, how will the grades from VVA switch to the new grade marking, and will they still use iReady?
Yes, everybody will continue to use iReady. They actually, when the students come back, the first week that students are back in the building, they'll take the second diagnostic. So, which will reset those personal learning plans. So that will be great. And those grades, the teachers from the VVA teachers they will input the grades for that last card marking. And then the students will start fresh because this is the end of our card marking is actually this Friday. The teachers have a records day. It's a half day on Friday. So you should be all set as far as grades go. And most of the VVA teachers they all are our former HP teachers. So if there are any questions, any concerns or wonderings about the students, we have a fast track. We'll just email or make a phone call. So there will be a connection there. We don't want, it's important to know our students. So we'll do our best to make sure that we know where they are, and we'll use, we can use their reading levels. And we'll obviously use their iReady diagnostic information as well.
I have a question.
All right.
When picking up, like if my niece goes to Hoover and I pick her up, is it a different number, or can she use the same number as Brandon?
She will have a different number, but you will. So when you get the numbers, remember you have like 3.
Yeah.
So you'll get you'll get her number and you'll put it in your vehicle, and people had them. Yep. Lots of people did that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just asking because I'm like, I don't know if she gets her own number if I have to share with Brandon.
Yep. Every family has their own number. It worked out really, really well. So, if she's coming to Hoover, actually Mrs. Anderson's going to be calling those families to make sure so that they can come up and pick up those numbers. So they have them that first day.
I will probably be picking the number.
All right. Hopefully it works out.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions? And if you don't think of any now, no worries. Call the school. We're there and we're happy to help.
I have another question. So normally, before all this with pickup, Lucas would, walk and pick Leah up from the lines, which obviously isn't happening now, but would he be able to stay on the sidewalk on Tucker with a number and grab them and take her to the car?
For sure, Mrs. Turner, that's exactly what we do. We have several siblings that come pick up their younger siblings, and they are on this, they stand on the sidewalk on Tucker. And then Leah would be dismissed out that door.
Okay, perfect.
So she'd be at the Tucker and the Hughes. That's the door she'd come out because she'll be
on that side of the building.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mrs. Demas, where can we pick up the forms to go back to school?
We have sent them with the Husky Happenings. They will be outside of the, and actually I think Mrs. Anderson is calling all of the students who we don't have that COVID agreement with tomorrow because we had talked to Mrs. Dalmage or Dr. Dalmage, sorry, Dr. Dalmage. So we kind of have an idea of who's incoming. So we'll be calling them, but they will be available right outside the school door. And I'll have to put them out there tomorrow morning because they're not out there yet, but I did enclose them. It's a really quick form to fill out.
You have a hand up from Heather.
Oh, hey, Heather, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. I have a question. What the numbers for them picking up, is it the same as before?
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, because I didn't catch that part. I was like 15 minutes late.
Oh, no worries. Nope. Yep, you'll have the same numbers. And if perchance you you can't find them or you lost them or what have you, just give the office a call and we'll make you some new ones.
Okay, sounds good. And then like, are you sending out another checklist that you have to fill out to send in?
If you filled the COVID agreement, the screening agreement before, you're all set. You're all set, Heather, for both kids.
Okay.
Yep,
And then
you're
you
good.
have Lyric's IEP still set in place for when he has issues?
You know we do.
Okay, just good. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I
Mrs.
know you're
Demons, I have
excited,
another
Heather.
question. I have another question. Okay, so Demetrius, this
Mrs. Osmond, you're breaking up.
You're doing the slow motion thing. Hold on. Let's see if we can get a better connection. All right, maybe try again. Ah. It seems like you're frozen.
Let's give her a second. So the
Okay.
question is, when will the second round if EBT will go out? I think
Oh, I
maybe
don't.
we're asking about the EBT cards. So we don't have anything to do with that. It's all a state, and that's a really great thing to say. The
Mhm.
only thing that we have with that, just so everybody knows, is making sure your address is correct. So
Right.
please know that the Hazel Park School, we can't hear you. The only thing the cards are, again, your address.
We still can't hear you, but if you want, you can call the office in the morning and we'll be happy. But like
We
Dr.
lost
Groupie
her.
said, it was, just make sure that you call the office. Oh, hey, can you, are you in a different spot?
Yes, I'm in my mama's house.
All right, good.
No, I wanted to know, because Demetrius, this would be his first time, you know, coming back to in face to face. So he never had numbers. So will he be getting?
Yep. And Mrs. Anderson is going to call you probably tomorrow. She fixed our laminator today and she was laminating them. So she'll call and then you guys can come pick them up.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Perfect. Any other questions? And if you think of a question later, call us. Email, whatever you need. We're here.
And nourishing. Quaker oats.
All right. Are we good? I think so. All right. Thank you for coming. We are excited. I cannot tell you how excited. I know the teachers are excited. The principal's excited. The secretary, Nancy and I and Sammy, we've been the only three together. We need some other people to talk to. So we're excited that everyone's coming back. So we'll take care. If you have any questions, concerns, wondering, suggestions, give us a call. Be patient on that first day of pickup and arrival. That's, you know, it always gets better.
Mrs. Demas, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And Hoover teachers, thank you for being here tonight and supporting our parents, Dr. Dalmage and Mrs. Johnson. And thank you for our board liaison, Mrs. Fortress, that's here tonight supporting the school as well.
Yep, we couldn't do it. It takes a village. Takes a village.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to end the meeting.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next Monday.